The door slammed behind her. The lock clicked. I stood frozen, papers scattered across my desk, my heart hammering against my ribcage like it was trying to escape. She walked toward me slowly, her black dress hugging every curve, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor of my office. It was 11 p.m. The building was empty. We both knew it. "Professor Williams," she whispered, her voice like honey and venom mixed together. "We need to talk about my grade." My throat was dry. "Mincio, it's late. This isn't appropriate." "Nothing about us has ever been appropriate." "Marcus." Hearing my first name from her lips sent electricity down my spine. She was close now, too close. I could smell her perfume, jasmine and something darker. "You need to leave," I said, but my voice betrayed me. It cracked, wavered. She smiled, that dangerous, knowing smile that had been haunting my dreams for weeks. "Do you really want me to leave?" I should have said yes. I should have opened that door, reported this, ended it before it began. But I didn't. And that decision? It cost me everything. My career, my reputation, everything I'd worked my entire life to build. If you want to know how far forbidden love can take you, if you want to see just how dangerous passion can be, hit that subscribe button right now. Because this story, it only gets more intense from here. 4 months before that night in my office. The day I met the woman who would destroy my life and save it at the same time. My name is Marcus Williams. I'm 32 years old, born and raised in Accra, Ghana. 3 years ago, I was hired as an English literature professor at Hanyang University in Seoul, South Korea. I was living my dream. PhD from Oxford, published author, youngest professor in my department, the only black professor in the entire faculty. I'd worked my ass off to get there. Scholarships, student loans, sleepless nights. Sacrifices my family made so I could have opportunities they never had. I wasn't about to throw it away. Not for anything. Not for anyone. The university's policy was crystal clear. Bold letters in my contract. No romantic or sexual relationships between faculty and students. Violation will result in immediate termination and possible legal action. I signed it without hesitation. I had discipline, self-control, professional boundaries that were carved in stone. Or, so I thought. September 3rd, first day of the fall semester. My modern American literature class. 9 a.m. Students filtered in slowly, half asleep, clutching coffee cups, barely looking up from their phones. The usual. Then she walked in. Min Seo Kang. She wore a simple white blouse, navy blue skirt. Her long black hair falling perfectly over her shoulders. She wasn't trying to stand out. But God, she did. She took a seat in the front row, center. While every other student slumped in their chairs, eyes glazed over, she sat up straight, alert. Her eyes found mine, and didn't let go. I cleared my throat. "Good morning, everyone. I'm Professor Williams, and this is Modern American Literature. We'll be exploring works by Toni Morrison, James Baldwin, Ralph Ellison." I went through my usual first-day spiel. Course outline, expectations, grading policy. The whole time, she watched me. Not like other students watch professors. This was different. Intense. Like she was studying me, not the material. When class ended, students shuffled out quickly. She stayed behind, gathering her things slowly, methodically. As the last student left, she approached my desk. "Professor Williams?" Her English was perfect. Slight accent, but flawless grammar. I just wanted to introduce myself properly. "I'm Min Seo Kang. I'm in the graduate program here." "Nice to meet you, Minso." I shook her hand. Professional. Brief, but her skin was soft, and she held on just a second longer than necessary. "I'm really excited about this class," she said. Her eyes locked on mine. "James, Baldwin is one of my favorite writers. Giovanni's Room changed my life." I blinked, surprised. Giovanni's Room wasn't on the syllabus. It was one of Baldwin's lesser-known novels, about forbidden love and desire. "That's one of my favorites too," I admitted. "Not many students read beyond the assigned texts." She smiled. "I'm not like most students, Professor." Something in the way she said it made my stomach flip, but I pushed it down. "Well, I look forward to having you in class. See you Wednesday." "See you Wednesday, Professor." She walked out, and I told myself I was imagining things. She was just an eager student, intelligent, passionate about literature, nothing more. I was so naive. The signs started immediately. After every class, she'd linger, ask questions. Not simple questions. Deep, thoughtful questions about symbolism, about race and identity in American literature, about how Baldwin's experience as a black gay man in Paris influenced his work. We'd talk for 30 minutes, sometimes an hour. The conversations were intellectually stimulating. I told myself, that's all it was. Mentorship. What professors are supposed to do, but there was something else there. An energy. A tension that hummed beneath every word. The emails started in week 2. "Professor Williams, I'm struggling with the Toni Morrison essay. Could we meet to discuss? Min So." "Professor Williams, I found this article about Baldwin's relationship with Lorraine Hansberry. Thought you'd find it interesting." "Min Seo. Professor Williams, are you free Thursday evening? I'd love your guidance on my thesis proposal." Min Seo. Every email was professional, appropriate, but I started noticing things. She'd send them late at night, 11 p.m., midnight, like she was thinking about me when she should have been sleeping, and God help me. I started looking forward to them. One Thursday evening, she came to my office hours. It was late, around 8 p.m. Most of the building had emptied out. The hallways were quiet, except for the hum of fluorescent lights. She knocked on my door. "Professor, do you have a moment?" "Of course. Come in." She entered and closed the door behind her. Not all the way, but enough that it felt intimate. She sat across from my desk, crossed her legs. She was wearing a white blouse, top button undone. Not inappropriate, but enough to make me glance away. "So," I said, clearing my throat. "Your thesis proposal. What did you want to discuss?" "Actually, Professor." She leaned forward, her voice dropping. "Can I be honest with you?" My heart rate picked up. "Of course. I don't think you understand how rare you are here." Her eyes bore into mine. "A black professor, teaching American literature, teaching Baldwin, Morrison, Ellison, with actual lived understanding of what they're writing about. Do you know how powerful that is?" Thank you. I'm not finished." She smiled softly. "Do you know what I find most attractive, Professor Williams?" Every alarm in my brain started screaming. "Mincio. I think we should. Intelligence," she continued, ignoring my attempt to redirect. "Passion. The way you talk about literature like it matters, like it's life or death. Most professors here just read from slides. But you make us feel things. You make me feel things." I stood up abruptly. "Mincio, this conversation is crossing a line. I'm your professor. You're my student. We need to maintain professional boundaries." She stood too, not backing away. "I know what you're going to say. That it's inappropriate. That you could lose your job. That I'm just a confused student with a crush. Aren't you?" "No." Her voice was firm now. Strong. "I'm a 4-year-old woman who knows exactly what she wants. And what I want, Professor Williams, is you." The air between us was electric, dangerous. I could feel myself teetering on the edge of something catastrophic. "This can't happen," I said, quietly. "Why not?" "Because you're my student. Because it's against university policy. Because you're scared?" "Yes," I admitted. Terrified. She studied my face for a long moment. Then she picked up her bag and walked to the door. Before leaving, she turned back. "I've never been good at following rules, Professor. And something tells me, neither are you." "Not really." The door closed softly behind her. "No 2000. No 2000. No 2000. I stood there for 20 minutes, my hands shaking, my mind racing, knowing I should report this conversation immediately. I didn't. And that's when I knew I was already falling. For the next 3 weeks, I tried to maintain distance. I kept our conversations brief. I avoided eye contact. When she stayed after class, I'd make excuses about meetings I had to rush to. But it was torture. Every lecture, she'd sit there in the front row, watching me with those dark, intelligent eyes. Every time I said something about forbidden love in Baldwin's work, or desire in Morrison's novels, I felt like I was talking directly to her. The tension was unbearable. Then came the faculty dinner. It was a Friday night in October, some networking event at a fancy restaurant in Gangnam. I almost didn't go. But attendance was strongly encouraged, which meant mandatory. I showed up alone, uncomfortable in my suit, nursing a glass of wine, trying to make small talk with colleagues who barely acknowledged my existence outside of faculty meetings. Then, I saw her, Min Seo, across the room, wearing an elegant black dress, her hair swept up, looking more sophisticated than any 4-year-old had a right to look. Our eyes met. She smiled slightly, then looked away. My heart sank. What was she doing here? This was a faculty-only event. I made my way over to her, trying to stay calm. "Min So? What are you doing here?" She turned, feigning surprise. "Oh, Professor Williams. Hello. This is a faculty event. Students aren't supposed to." "My father is on the university board," she said casually, sipping champagne. "I'm required to attend these things. Networking. Appearances. You know how it is." My blood ran cold. "Your father is?" "He's actually right over there." She gestured with her glass toward a stern-looking man in his 60s, deep in conversation with the university president. "Dean Kang. You've probably seen him around. He's head of the board of trustees." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. "You're Dean Kang's daughter?" "I am." She looked at me with those dangerous eyes. "He thinks very highly of you, by the way. Says you're one of the most promising professors we've hired in years. Impeccable credentials. Exceptional teaching reviews." "Min Seo. He has no idea," she continued, her voice dropping to a whisper. "How much I agree with him. How exceptional you really are." I took a step back. "This is insane. You never told me. You never asked." She set down her glass. "Does it change anything?" "Of course it changes everything. Your father could." "Could what?" She moved closer, lowering her voice. "Destroy your career?" "Yes, he could. Which is why we'd have to be very, very careful." "There is no we," I hissed. "There can't be." "Can't there?" She was so close now I could feel the heat radiating from her skin. "Or won't there? Because those are two very different things, Marcus." Hearing my name again, in that crowded room, surrounded by colleagues and board members, and her father, it was reckless, intoxicating, terrifying. "I'm walking away now," I said quietly. "And you're going to let me." "Am I?" "Yes, okay." She smiled. "But before you do, let me ask you something. When you go home tonight, alone, are you going to think about me? I didn't answer. Because I'm going to think about you, she whispered. I think about you every night, Marcus. I imagine what it would feel like if you stopped being so noble, so professional. If you just let go. Minseo. I'm not a child, she said firmly. I'm a woman, and I know what I want. The question is, do you? I turned and walked away before I could do something stupid. But she was right about one thing. That night, alone in my apartment, I thought about her. I thought about her, constantly, and that's when I knew I was in serious trouble. I held out for 3 more weeks, the most torturous weeks of my life. Every class felt like slow torture. Every email she sent made my pulse race. Every time I saw her in the hallway, my resolve weakened a little more. I tried dating other people. Went on 2 dates with a Korean woman I met at a coffee shop. It didn't work. All I could think about was Minseo. I considered requesting a transfer, looked at job postings in other cities, other countries. But I couldn't bring myself to do it. Then came the rainstorm. It was a Friday night in late October. I was in my apartment, grading papers, listening to rain, hammer against the windows. Seoul was drowning in a monsoon. At 10:30 p.m., my doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. For a moment, I considered not answering. But I did, and there she was. Minseo. Standing in my doorway, soaking wet. Her white blouse completely see-through, clinging to her skin. Hair plastered to her face, shivering. I'm sorry, she breathed, water dripping onto my floor. I was nearby, at a cafe, and the rain. I tried to get a taxi, but everything's flooded. I didn't know where else to go. Every rational thought in my brain screamed, give her a towel, call her a taxi, send her home. But I couldn't move, couldn't speak. Can I come in? She asked quietly. Please? I stepped aside. She walked in, leaving wet footprints on my hardwood floor. I grabbed a towel from the bathroom and handed it to her. Thank you. She dried her face, her hair, but it didn't help much. She was still drenched. You should take off those wet clothes. I said, immediately regretting how that sounded. I mean, you'll get sick. I have a robe you can wear while your clothes dry. Okay. I went to my bedroom, grabbed my robe, handed it to her. She took it and walked to the bathroom. I stood in my living room, heart pounding, trying to convince myself this was innocent. She was caught in the rain. I was being a good person. Nothing was going to happen. The bathroom door opened. She emerged wearing my robe. It was too big on her, drowning her small frame. Her hair was still wet, hanging loose around her shoulders. She looked vulnerable, beautiful, dangerous. She said softly, your clothes. I'll put them in the dryer. Marcus. She stopped me with her voice. Stop. Stop what? Pretending. She walked toward me. Pretending you don't want this. Pretending you don't think about me the way I think about you. Minseo. You need to leave. Do I? She was close now. Too close. Or do you want me to leave? Those are different things. What I want doesn't matter. It's the only thing that matters. My back was against the wall now. Literally. She placed her hand on my chest, right over my heart. She could feel it racing. Your heart is pounding, she whispered. Because this is wrong. Why is it wrong? You're my student. I'm a woman who wants you. Your father isn't here. Her hand moved up to my face. Her thumb traced my jaw. Ruddert. Any two. Ruddert. Tell me to leave, Marcus. Say it. Mean it. And I'll walk out that door right now and never bring this up again. You need to leave. This can't happen. We can't do this. But nothing came out. Because I didn't want her to leave. God help me. I wanted her to stay more than I'd ever wanted anything. I can't. I whispered. Can't what? Can't tell you to leave. She smiled. Then don't. And she kissed me. It was soft at first. Tentative. Like she was giving me one last chance to push her away. I didn't. Instead, I pulled her closer. My hands tangled in her wet hair. The kiss deepened, became urgent, desperate. Months of tension and denial exploding all at once. She pulled back, breathless. Are you sure? No, I said honestly. But I don't care anymore. Good, she whispered. Neither do I. What happened next? I won't go into details, but that night, every line I swore I'd never cross, I crossed it. Every boundary I'd built, I shattered it. We made love like the world was ending. Desperate, passionate, wrong in every way that mattered, and right in every way that didn't. Afterward, we lay tangled in my sheets, her head on my chest, both of us trying to catch our breath. We can't do this again, I said quietly. She laughed softly. Yes, we can. Mincio. Shh. She kissed my chest. Just for tonight. Can we not think about consequences? Can we just be? I held her tighter. Just for tonight. But we both knew it was a lie. Because the thing about forbidden love? Once you taste it, you can't stop. For the next 2 months, we lived a double life. In class, she was the perfect student. Called me Professor Williams. Sat in the front row. Asked intelligent questions. Participated in discussions. No one suspected anything. But at night, she'd sneak out of her family's house. I'd pick her up 3 blocks away. We'd go back to my apartment and lose ourselves in each other. It was reckless. Dangerous. Addictive. We couldn't keep our hands off each other. In my apartment. In my car. Parked in dark corners. Once, God forgive me, in my office after midnight, when the building was empty. Someone could catch us, I'd whispered that night. Her body pressed against mine, my desk digging into my back. I know, she'd breathed, kissing my neck. That's what makes it exciting. She was dangerous, fearless, and I was completely, hopelessly addicted to her. We'd spend hours talking too. About literature. About life. About her, controlling father who'd planned out her entire future. About my struggles as a black man in Korea, always feeling like an outsider. Do you ever regret coming here? When? She asked one night. Her finger tracing patterns on my chest. Sometimes, I admitted. It's lonely. I don't really fit anywhere. You fit here, she said softly, placing her palm over my heart. With me. Mincio. I love you, she said suddenly, looking up at me with those earnest eyes. I know it's fast. I know it's complicated, but I do. I love you, Marcus. My heart stopped, because I knew the answer, and saying it out loud would make this real. Would make losing her hurt even more when it inevitably fell apart. But I couldn't lie. Not to her. I love you too, I whispered. God help me. I do. She kissed me then. Soft. Sweet. Full of promise. We'll figure it out, she murmured. We'll find a way. I wanted to believe her. But deep down, I knew we were living on borrowed time. The end came on a Fano, Tuesday, in December. I was in my office, grading final papers, when my phone rang. Dean Kang. My stomach dropped to the floor. Professor Williams. My office. Immediately. The line went dead. I sat there for a full minute, unable to move. This was it. Someone had seen us. Someone had talked. It was over. The walk to his office felt like a death march. Every step heavier than the last. When I entered, he was sitting behind his massive desk, stone-faced, cold, and next to him, in a chair, her eyes red and swollen from crying, Mincio. "Sit," Dean Kang commanded. I sat. He slid a manila folder across the desk. I opened it with shaking hands. Security camera footage. Printed screenshots. My apartment building. Her entering. Timestamps. Multiple dates. My car parked in dark locations. Both of us inside. Someone had been following us, documenting everything. A concerned faculty member brought this to my attention, Dean Kang said, his voice like ice. Apparently, my daughter has been frequenting your residence, at night, for months. I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Mincio tried. "Father, please, just listen." Silence. His voice boomed through the office. She flinched, tears streaming down her face. He turned to me, his eyes burning with hatred. "Do you know who I am, Professor Williams?" "Yes, sir." "Do you understand what I can do to you?" "Yes, sir." "Good. Then, you understand that your career is over. Not just at this university. Everywhere. I will make sure every academic institution, in Korea, in Asia, in the world, knows what you did. You will never teach again." "He didn't do anything," Mincio shouted, her voice breaking. "I pursued him. I went to his apartment. I wanted this. You are a child. I'm 24 years old. You are my child. And this man," he pointed at me with disgust, "this man abused his position of power. He took advantage of you. He manipulated you." "That's not true." She was sobbing now. "I love him." Dean Kang's face turned red. "You don't know what love is." "I do. And he loves me too." He turned to me, his voice deadly calm. "Is that true, Professor Williams? Do you love my daughter?" Every instinct screamed at me to deny it. To save myself. To lie. But I couldn't. "Yes," I said quietly. "I do." His jaw clenched. "Then you're an even bigger fool than I thought." He opened a drawer and pulled out a document, pushed it across the desk. "You have two choices. Sign this resignation letter. Leave Korea within 1 week. And I won't press criminal charges for sexual misconduct." "Criminal charges?" I stared at him. "She's 24 years old. It's abuse of power, coercion. I have lawyers who will make sure you rot in prison if you don't comply." He leaned forward. "Or you can refuse, fight this, and I will destroy you. Your reputation, your career, your life. I will make sure you never work anywhere, ever again. Choose." Mincio grabbed my hand. Her touch was warm, desperate. "Don't do this," she pleaded. "Marcus, please. We can fight him. We'll get lawyers. We'll..." "Mincio," I said softly, my voice breaking. "It's over." "No, no, please." I pulled my hand away from hers. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done. I looked at Dean Kang. "I'll resign." "Marcus." She stood up, trying to reach for me. Her father grabbed her arm. "You're making the right choice," Dean Kang said coldly. "But for the record," I continued, my voice steady despite the tears burning behind my eyes, "I love your daughter. What we had was real. It was wrong. Yes, but it was real. And she deserves better than a father who treats her like property." His eyes flashed with rage. "Get out of my office." I stood, looked at Mincio one last time. Her face was destroyed, tears streaming, mouth open in a silent scream. "I'm sorry," I whispered. Then I walked out, and I didn't look back. 3 days later, I was on a plane to London. No goodbye. Dean Kang made sure of that. He had security escort me from my apartment to the airport. I wasn't allowed to contact Minseo. One text, one call. And he'd press charges. I left my entire life behind. My job, my apartment, my dreams, and her. I tried to convince myself it was for the best. That she'd move on. Finish her degree. Find someone appropriate. Someone her father would approve of. I tried to tell myself I'd move on too. But 6 months later, living in a tiny flat in London, working private tutoring jobs, barely making rent, I still dreamed about her every night. Still felt her touch, heard her laugh, remembered the way she looked at me like I was her entire world. And every morning, I woke up in an empty bed and remembered I'd given up everything for her. And I'd do it again. If you're still watching this, if you made it this far, then you know this isn't just a story. This is real. This is what forbidden love actually costs. Subscribe right now if you want to see part 2. Because what I haven't told you yet is what happened 6 months later, when I heard a knock on my door in London. When I opened it and saw her standing there in the rain. I told my father to go to hell, she said, and I came to find you. That's part 2. And trust me, you're not ready for what happens next. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you in the next one. Because this story, it's far from over.